Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. From fresh flowers and bakery treats for Valentine's Day to ingredients for a home-cooked dinner, Safeway makes it simple to get what you need.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.
When you think about our state, you don't often think lions and giraffes, but maybe you should. High above Colorado Springs, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo is back in the running for Best Zoo in the Country in a reader poll by USA Today. The zoo is also turning 100 this year, and it's been part of many people's lives. You might remember it from school trips or family weekends. But less known is that it is also a place for serious scientific work, from global conservation efforts to helping reestablish the endangered black-footed ferrets here in Colorado. Zoo leaders say a strong showing of public support from, let's say, being rated as top zoo in the country helps fund these efforts. And if you need more incentive, it will really stick it to Omaha's Henry Drury Zoo and Aquarium, which beat Cheyenne Mountain as top zoo last year. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. Coming up, the former state scientist accused of mishandling years of DNA tests will go in front of a judge tomorrow. How will Missy Woods plead?
At that point, you're gambling with really a victim's only chance at justice.
Then, the shooting at Evergreen High School could result in new requirements for social media companies to respond faster when a user posts a credible threat.
Faster access to digital evidence could help stop future attacks and potentially help individuals in crisis before they harm others or themselves.
Plus, the underground music showcases coming back from the dead.
One big question is whether the entertainment giant AEG might get involved in the festival.
It's Tuesday, February 10th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Missy Woods, the former state scientist accused of mishandling years and years of DNA tests, will go in front of a judge tomorrow for her long-delayed arraignment. In the 2 years since Woods' actions came to light, the state has been retesting evidence in thousands of cases. That process has cost millions of dollars. It slowed work on new crimes and has contributed to a huge backlog in rape kit testing. CPR's Avakian is covering the arraignment, where we will find out how Missy Woods pleads to the 102 felony charges that she faces. Hey there, Ava.
Hey.
So remind us, what exactly is Woods accused of doing? She wasn't completely fabricating the results, right?
No, she wasn't completely fabricating, but she was cutting corners, tampering with results and deviating from standard procedures. Some of the things she allegedly did are pretty disturbing, like manipulating findings in some sexual assault cases to delete evidence of traces of male DNA, something that appears she did to avoid investigators asking her lab to do further testing. And the state found this had been going on for a very long time, all the way back to 2008.
And what happened to those cases that Woods worked on?
It's been really disruptive for them. For instance, I talked to a prosecutor, Corey Kaler, who was working on a cold case in Douglas County at the same time that information came out. She ended up offering the killer a plea deal because she was worried a jury might not trust the DNA evidence that linked him to the crime.
The DNA would have became the prominent concern, and it would have been something that we just couldn't predict how a jury would feel about it, and it's a gamble, right? And then at that point, you're gambling with really a victim's only chance at justice. And sometimes that gamble is not worth it if you can get a plea deal that recognizes the significance of the offense.
In other cases, people who were convicted in part using evidence processed by Woods have been released and are awaiting new trials.
All right, so the CBI started investigating Woods in 2023. It actually started when an intern turned up problems in the lab's DNA test results. She retired during that investigation, and then she was finally arrested last January. But it's been a year since then, so why is this case moving so slowly?
Yeah, her attorneys have been requesting the delays. It is a complicated case with thousands and thousands of pages of evidence to sort through, and it's in the defense's interest to delay. If this case makes it to trial, though, it will be a major undertaking. Prosecutors have said they expect a trial to take between 5 and 8 weeks.
Ava, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Months before the Evergreen High School shooting, the student who committed it made disturbing posts on TikTok suggesting that he was preparing for an act of mass violence. A researcher in New York saw those posts and reported them to federal law enforcement. But the investigation moved slowly.
The FBI then had to go through multiple steps, waiting for weeks before they were ever even able to get the IP address to eventually confirm the identity of the shooter.
Congresswoman Brittany Petterson's district includes Evergreen.
Tragically, that identity wasn't revealed until after the shooting, nearly 2 months later, preventing our law enforcement from intervening and being able to stop this from ever happening.
Social media platforms currently get 35 days to respond to law enforcement subpoenas. A new bill by Petterson would shorten that window to 72 hours. Petterson introduced her bill at a press conference yesterday at a recreation center where students sheltered during the shooting. Standing next to her was Jeffco Sheriff Reggie Marinelli, who started advocating for a change as soon as she heard the FBI's story.
Based on what we learned from Evergreen, we believe faster access to digital evidence could help stop future attacks and potentially help individuals in crisis before they harm others or themselves.
Last year, California passed a law setting a 72-hour deadline for online companies to comply with warrants. A similar bill in Colorado was vetoed by Governor Jared Polis last year over privacy concerns. Backers in the legislature say they're going to try again this year with a bill that they hope avoids the governor's concerns. But Sheriff Marinelli says state-by-state laws, that isn't enough.
This is not about expanding government power. It is not about bypassing the courts. And it is not about weakening privacy protections. This effort started with one simple question: what could we do differently to prevent the next tragedy?
Yesterday's event was also a chance to hear from one of the Evergreen students living through the school year shattered by violence. Tyler Guyton is a senior and a co-class president.
One thing that struck me has been the prolonged effect this has had on us. While today many students are truly thriving, I still sit with friends into the late hours of the night who fear sleep because when they close their eyes, the nightmares return. Many of us still struggle to focus in class. Several of us sleep when a notebook drops to the floor or a door slams. Simply said, it's been a difficult year.
But Guyton says he still has hope, rooted in the support that the community received after the September shooting and in the drive to try and prevent similar violence in the future. Fans, musicians, and bar owners spent last summer eulogizing the Underground Music Showcase.
We love our little strip of Broadway here, and so that's what I think that UMS was to me, was a lot of celebrating the neighborhood and the shops and like the unique scene we got going on here. And I think that as the UMS grew...
It was the end of a 25-year run along South Broadway, and the festival even brought back one of its original acts, Devotchka, to mark the end of an era. But just months into its apparent demise, UMS organizers announced it will be back in 2026, this time, though, with new digs. Producer Mateo Schimpf talked to Denverite's Kyle Harris about this big announcement.
Kyle, before we get to the situation of its rebirth, can you quickly remind us why UMS was calling it quits after last year?
Sure thing. So organizers have been trying to pull off the festival right. That meant devoting more money to paying artists better, doing emergency preparedness work, and creating better accessibility. All of this cost money and ultimately became financially unsustainable. And so they declared last year's festival would be the last one as we know it.
So then what changed that the last UMS was apparently not the last one after all?
Apparently, the River North Business Improvement District approached the festival's owners and offered to host UMS at venues in that neighborhood, which is a few miles north of where it's historically been.
What kinds of promises is Rhino making in this new iteration of UMS? Does it seem like the festival is going to change in more ways than just the location?
Well, they promised to keep showcasing local musicians and paying them well, too, which will be a relief for the musicians. They also say they'll be using the festival to highlight the best of the local music scene, but also introduce audiences to what Rhino itself has to offer. One big question is whether the entertainment giant AEG might get involved in the festival. They're one of the biggest players in local music. AEG hasn't been involved in the Underground Music Showcase before, but the company owns Mission Ballroom, and its bookers own some of the other venues in the neighborhood.
How are people reacting to the announcement that the festival will be in Rhino this coming summer?
Well, as you can imagine, people with a stake in South Broadway are really unhappy to hear that it's headed north. And they really think that the move will change the festival's identity. That includes District 7 council member Flor Alvidrez, who represents the neighborhood.
This used to be like a more community-based, underground type of music showcase, and that has been watered down over the years. And I think the move to a gentrified area with like Patagonia stores is the ultimate leaving back of being the truly what it once was.
Business owners along the South Broadway corridor are also feeling duped. Last year, the event was pitched as the last UMS as you know it. Well, now it's returning as a festival, and for the first time in years, they won't be benefiting from that. Here's Scott Happel, who owns the South Broadway Venue HQ and also the Oriental Theater.
I will tell you at its core what has me annoyed today, or angry perhaps, is being lied to over and over and over and over again. Like, it turns the whole UMS is over into nothing more than a cynical marketing ploy to try to sell more tickets last year.
Is that accusation legit? Were business owners like Happel lied to?
It's a good question. Two parts. The event production company that owns UMS said at the time of last year's festival, they really didn't know what would happen with the showcase. While they were happy for the offer from the Rhino bid, they did not know that that was in the cards or that was coming. I caught up with UMS co-founder Ricardo Baca yesterday. He told me that years ago he had recommended to a new owner that the festival be moved to Rhino. Now that it's happening, Baca thinks that the move will actually ensure the festival's longevity.
And what about the musicians? You know, I've talked to artists who have performed at UMS, and they mostly say it's great. It gets them in front of audiences that they wouldn't normally reach. They must be happy that the festival is coming back in some form this year.
Well, the musicians I've talked to have had mixed reactions. Kaylin Heffernan of Wheelchair Sports Camp is struggling to imagine UMS anywhere but Broadway. Hip-hop artist DNA Picasso said he's thrilled organizers have found a way to save the event, though he's also nostalgic about Broadway. And as a final note, there might be another shoe waiting to drop in the drama because the South Broadway General Improvement District says it is planning to create its own music festival.
Okay, heated rivalry, not just a show on HBO.
Indeed.
It's happening right here in Denver, which could be a good thing for Denver's music scene. Denverite's Kyle Harris, thank you.
Thank you.
Additional reporting for today's show came from Denverite's Paolo Shalceda and CPR's Stephanie Wolf. Thank you for listening, and remember to follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. From fresh flowers and bakery treats for Valentine's Day to ingredients for a home-cooked dinner, Safeway makes it simple to get what you need.